At the exact time that he decided to run and go grab his hat, the roller coaster came over at full speed. Obviously, he was killed instantly. Hello everybody, my name is Michelle, and today I am going to be talking about another viewer discretion advised video because I love the idea of not triggering the hell out of someone for some reason. However, this is a subject that I'm interested in, and a very few of my subscribers are also interested in, so I'm gonna get into it. I wanted to talk originally about roller coaster decapitation because that was like one of the main stories I've heard about, but then I saw all of these other stories involving unaliving people, roller coaster rides that when I was a kid it was not happening. Like, I was so afraid of these things. I don't know why. It may very well have been because I was afraid that the ride was going to make one of these huge, very rare mistakes. My question of the day is, have you ever ridden a roller coaster before? No, that's a valid question. Please give this video a like and a subscribe, and even hit the bell if you want to. It would absolutely make my day. Every single subscriber, it's just such a gift. I don't know why I say when I was a kid, because I feel like that's equally as valid now. I haven't been to a theme park in a long time. I highly doubt I would want to go on a roller coaster, or more importantly, be convinced to go on one. And also, I'd be so proud of myself. The main theme park that I have in my mind when I'm picturing things is the one in ₕ Illinois. It's like Six Flags Great America, I think it's called. Like, I don't know if they're all called that. Interesting fact, but Six Flags actually buys out theme parks. One thing for nowadays though, and probably for the rest of my life, it's not gonna happen going on any fair rides, because the idea of like these hyper spinning, terrifying, anything could go wrong rides that can just be folded up, it worries me. It's so funny because my mom and dad are complete polar opposites, but I seem to have gotten my mom's side of the family where she used to have to take anti-anxiety medication to go on these rides because my dad would like be like, come on, you have to go on these, like, holy. So at the Six Flags in Austell, Georgia, the Batman ride is where the most kind of famous, I feel, for people who have heard about roller coaster horror stories. I could be wrong, I could just be the only one. The story goes that, you know, a teenager, 17 years old, was riding the Batman ride and he lost his cap. I heard another story about someone who had the exact same thing happened, but they lost their phone. When you go to Six Flags now, they have all of these phones in like this clear box, and it says, put your phone away or this will happen, it'll fall off. You can't retrieve it unless you'll be decapitated, so. In this situation, it was actually this individual's fault. It's sad, I don't know how to explain this. The other cases we're going to be talking about involves not the people's fault, but with this individual, he was like, I want this hat back. I don't know what hat it was, like, who knows, it must have been very important to him. He and his friend actually climbed 2 6-foot fences saying, do not enter, which, you know, I think that they understood that they were not doing something they were supposed to do. So the Batman ride actually has a speed of 50 miles per hour, which is really fast, but not as fast as some of the freaking cases we're gonna cover. At the exact time that he decided to run and go grab his hat, the roller coaster came over at full speed. Obviously, he was killed instantly. At Darien Lake Amusement Park, this man entered the park when they asked, you know, the people who work there, well, what rides are handicap accessible and which ones aren't? And the theme park people were like, I think they're pretty much all good to go. When the ride hit about 50 miles per hour, unfortunately, his safety harness started to come undone. Unfortunately, at that exact moment, that individual fell out of his seat and fell to his unalive. A really sad fact is that this guy was actually a veteran. He had lost his leg in the war. He was technically only 3 foot, which was actually too short to go on the ride, but no one had really considered that, obviously. This is a story about a roller coaster that, like, this kind of reminds me, that ride, that anti-gravity ride that you see at like carnivals? Those are fun, but no, they're not fun. Why is it going so fast? What's holding it like up? Something that this ride was actually famous for was going twice as fast as gravity. So something similar to literally a screw unscrewing. The one car that had unscrewed smashed into all the other cars that are going at twice the speed. Unfortunately, all of the cars smashed into each other and a lot of people perished. The next theme park we're going to be talking about is when there was a ride that was first being opened and it was being tested, and when it was going up the ramp, this guy was like, the carts actually stopped, and this guy was new working there. He looked at the other employee and he was like, well, what do we do? He asked one of his coworkers and she's like, I don't know, I think I've seen in the past people just like pushing it up. And what? It must have been with like a very different ride. Anyways, this individual had cerebral palsy. Unfortunately, once he got the ride working, he sort of tripped and he grabbed onto the ride, and that's when it actually went down and the acceleration went. He's holding on as hard as he can, but when it goes around a corner, unfortunately, he fell to his unalive. So I really wanted to include real videos of these things happening because there's quite a few that were actually caught on tape. But one of them said you have to be like 18 or over to watch, which makes the amount of times your video gets served to people go down a lot. So I'd like to try. I also don't want to make you have nightmares and never forget about this. Obviously, one of these videos is derailing carts. And this actually happened on a ride called the Sandblaster. When this cart went off its tracks, these people fell 3 stories, but luckily they survived. It could have stopped there. However, they looked at the ride and the inspector said like, oh my god, we've given you so many like warnings, and the inspector had said there's 12 plus things wrong with this ride that needs to be fixed. So they tried again, they did a lot more maintenance, and there was another accident. And then they finally did a bunch of maintenance. They took a long time and they worked very hard on maintenance. And right after the inspector was like, okay, you're good to go, people started using the ride again. It actually, in the end, turned out that the roller coaster was just hitting the edges way too fast, which I feel all roller coasters do. Something else about the Sandblaster is that it had been seen to be derailed multiple times and not reported to by the state. I don't know whether that means that they settled a private deal or it was like just the track and there was nobody on it. The next ride we're going to be talking about is the Hypersonic Xlg, and this is one of those coasters that I can't even fathom is real. It's one of those roller coasters that like go and then it goes straight up and then it goes straight down. Like straight down? Is that even possible? Like, I heard that roller coasters can't go straight down, but they can go very next to straight down, so it looks like straight down. I don't know though. Something actually that was interesting about this ride was that it had extremely long lines, and people who were to put their arms up when they're first going on the ride, they actually are known to dislocate their shoulder. The next ride we're going to be talking about is Superman Power of Tower. When I went here with my friends for a school trip, they almost forced me to go on. Like, they didn't understand like the fear of roller coasters. No offense to them, but like they just didn't get it, and they were like, no, you're going on. In a lot of situations, like it would, because my dad is like, you gotta go on. Like, people don't understand. I will literally have to start, I will get to a point where I start crying because I'm so scared I don't want to go on it. So while the ride was going up, these cables, obviously, because rides are fucking scary and haunted and dangerous, one of these cables actually came loose, and it came really fast, and it wrapped around this 13-year-old girl's legs, and by the time it got to the top, everyone was screaming, stop the ride, but people thought that they were just, like screaming, they were scared, like on the roller coaster. So it went down, and at that point, it had decapitated her feet. Something that freaking happened that the safety inspectors had failed to recognize is after time and time of this roller coaster being used, the cable became faulty. It started to stretch out. Another random fact that's unfortunate is an 18-year-old boy who was operating the ride, he heard the snapping sound, but he wasn't really sure what's going on, so if he had stopped the ride, this girl would have been uninjured and most likely wouldn't have lost her feet. Luckily, she was able to be rushed to the hospital and one of her feet was saved. Just imagine like all of this happening after you just go to the friggin' theme park to have fun. The very last thing I'm going to be talking about is this ride that I'm sure you've seen a lot. The one that I've seen is when you go to Florida, there's like this little boardwalk by Disney, and so it like goes straight up in the air, and then people go like millions of feet into the air, and then it goes down and it wobbles, and it's like, I don't even understand like what is wrong with you people. Like genuinely, I feel like it's probably equivalent to why I like gore. It distracts you from real life terrors. To put us on a little happy ending, when these people were going on the ride, their friends were recording and they were like, you guys, like, yeah, you're going on, this is gonna be so scary. But you could clearly see that one of the wires was it was really loose compared to the other one. Just about a second before the person hit start, someone noticed, they said, stop, and their life was saved. So let me know what you think about me making videos like this. Genuinely, if you don't like them, let me know. I don't give a shit. Like, your opinion is valid. Make sure to comment below how you are afraid of roller coasters or how you're not afraid of roller coasters. And if you've ever heard these stories before, please give this video a like and a subscribe, and even hit the bell if you want to. It would absolutely make my day. Every single subscriber, it's just such a gift. Like, why? Stay safe. Don't go on roller coasters. Peace.